To the glory of God, our healing ministry was started in the year 2003. It was the brainchild of our former pastor, Reverend Devaputran. During my tenure, we were fortunate to have, and God has blessed this church with 6% of congregants were doctors. Initially, we had a clinic at the Saki building, and we were treating patients from the slums around this church and distributed free medicines. Later on, by the generous contribution of the congregants, we were able to build a hospital at Ripalianum, which was worth of 60 lakhs rupees. It had facilities like outpatient clinic, emergency room, pharmacy, eye clinic, dental clinic, operating theaters, and we started the day with devotion and a short message by the evangelist of our church, and we supplied them with free medicines and a health drink. After they've attended the clinic, they come for review, and I would be failing in my duty if I don't mention the unsung hero, late Dr. Kirk, who started this ministry long before officially it was started. He went all by himself through many miles to this village and saw patients and distributed the medicines. All glory and honor belong to our God. Thanks be to God.
I well remember the medical teams that went to Ripalianum village every week. Dr. Kirkpatrick was so faithful. Every Saturday he would go. And there were sometimes I would go with him and I would help to boil the injection syringes and the needles and get things ready, or talk with the people and pray with them as they came to the village clinic. Also Dr. Percy. Or sometimes when the youth fellowship and we took polio vaccine and walked from village to village, giving vaccination to all the children there. So we had a great time in these medical outreaches from St. Andrew's Kirk into the villages there. They were some of the most meaningful times of seeing Christ outside the church, bringing his healing in wholeness in practical ways. So I pray that that ministry and those who are involved will continue with great strength and much love. Thank you.
Sensitive to the needs of the rural poor, with a strong belief that the ministry of church should not be confined to its four walls, remote places with minimal access to medical aid were surveyed in 1972, and Ripalianum was chosen as the first outreach project of St. Andrew's Kirk. This project was the brainchild of late Reverend Doug Mackenzie, the then minister of St. Andrew's Kirk. This village in the 1970s was extremely inaccessible, with dry, infertile soil. As the name predicts, hundreds of patients used to come from the nearby villages in bullock carts every Saturday to attend the clinic and collect their weekly dose of medicines. The people employed in this project belong to the local villages. Foremost is the medical aid rendered by doctors from our church. The Karanodi project, handed over to the church by the Only Way Trust, is functioning successfully for the past 4 years with medical and Hindi evangelical work. Each clinic starts with a prayer and the good news of the gospel. Clinics are conducted twice a week now, on Saturday and Monday at Ripalianum. Through this project, we work with the families of these villages, identify their needs, help them experience the love of God, and draw closer to Him. exclusive dermatology clinic is conducted on the first Wednesday of every month by Dr. John Meneses. The highly expensive skin medications are provided in large amounts by Dr. Sendamil Selvi, a retired MMC professor. The dental clinic was started in September 2016 under the leadership of Dr. Praise Ambrose. More than 300 patients have been treated this year and dentures issued free of cost to several patients. A total of 5,032 patients who are diabetics were screened this year and treated for diabetic-related complications by our diabetologist Dr. Pichamuttu. The laboratory conducted 480 in-house investigations and 900 outsourced investigations. Asthma clinic has been conducted and nebulization is given to patients on all days. In 2020, during the corona pandemic, we have not been able to conduct the health clinics, but delivery of drugs has been ensured by the village project team. 1,440 diabetic patients have been issued oral hypoglycemic drugs and 275 patients were given their weekly antihypertensive medications every month. The project team ensured door-to-door delivery of medicine to 576 patients following social distancing guidelines. The village project team assisted the evangelical team to distribute 270 bags of rice, dal and provisions to Hindi-speaking migrant laborers in Karanode. We need your prayers, time, resources, ideas and financial support for this project, which stands before our eyes as a visible testimony and monument of God's leading and guidance. It is also a testimony of the congregation striving to walk in the footsteps of the Master. The harvest is plentiful, but workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into this harvest field. Matthew chapter 9, verses 37 and 38. Thank you.
Right from the pioneering days of the Gypsy Colony in Pallavaram, the evangelism ministry and the healing ministry have been hand in hand. I remember when Samuel used to go scouting there, and later when he used to go meet the families, I used to go along and then sit in the huts and talk to the Gypsy families there, listening to them, listening to their needs and what they needed. And we found that there were a lot of deficiencies, there were a lot of disease, and there was a lot of need in how to be clean in that area. So we used to have camps there, medical camps. I remember Dr. Percy, Dr. Vimla and Dr. Prasanara. We used to have talks about nutrition, about hygiene, about health. And later years we saw these results. It seemed much cleaner, the areas were much cleaner. We can see how it was developing beautifully. Dr. Praise and Christina, they started having clinics there, Saturday clinics, and then together with the help of the youth fellowship. Healing ministry has always been together with evangelism and the missions movement to move along in this ministry to the people in and around Chennai.
The initial dental work at Ripalianum started during Dr. Kirkpatrick's time during the late 80s. The work was upgraded in 2017. The need to have a combined dental and medical work on the second Sunday of every month came into being with the help of Dr. Christina and doctors from our youth fellowship. This continued effectively by God's grace with the latest aesthetic dental fillings, ceramic bridge works, and also infertility treatment in the medical side. Simultaneously, during regular youth outreach to Gypsy Colony Pallavaram, their need for medical help was acknowledged, and the clinic setup was functioning once a month from 2018 till the lockdown. We have restarted the work from January 2021 in a small scale and hope to move on prayerfully.
The mental hospital visits, the Keep of Mental Hospital, has always been a part of the healing ministry. It had started earlier with with Mrs. Chandy and a lot of members of the congregation like Mr. Kanagaraj, Mr. Rajan, and even Usha George, Mrs. Anama. All of them used to go to once a week to this mental hospital. I remember very well later how as doctors we joined Mrs. Chandy, and every fourth Sunday we used to have a bag. We had a bag full of biscuits, and we used to go to a crowd which so joyously used to greet her and say Amma, 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 Chandy Amma, and then Yes Amma they used to call us sometime, and then they were so joyful in receiving us, and they used to tell of their stories to us, and we used to tell them about the love of God and about how God heals, and we used to listen to them to their tearful stories, and it was a joyous time of celebration when we would sing together short choruses, all Tamil choruses. Sandosham Pongude was such a favorite of theirs, and even during Christmas time we used to go meet all of them and every ward and everything, and celebrate Christmas along with them. And we had doctors regularly going every other week, once in 2 weeks, together with the members of the congregation to the mental hospital. It's been such a blessing.
In the mental hospital, the two key people who led that were Harry and Mary Kakada, and it was already there when I first came, and it had just begun. And I remember we would go and visit patients room to room, place to place, and we would spend sometimes 2-3 hours. And it was a powerful experience of going to those who did not understand much of what we said. But I believe that just being there ushered in the presence of Jesus Christ to them. And that's all we can offer sometimes. Just be there as people who represent Jesus and love them, pray for them, and the Lord is the one who heals. Once again, I wish those who work in the mental hospital all strength and the love of Jesus. Thank you.
The Kirk Healing Ministry, along with the evangelism and missions movement of our church, arranged for a free cancer screening camp in all our outreach programs. This was done by the CRRT, Cancer Research and Relief Trust, which is a part of the Madras Cancer Care Foundation, whose director is Dr. S. Ayyappan, surgical oncologist, and which functions in Kumaran Hospital. The CRRT, with a tie-up with Anderson Diagnostics, conducted physical examination for all the patients. The lady patients had pap smear done, and the reports were given in a few days' time. Those with abnormal findings were referred to Kumaran Hospital, where they had a free consultation with the oncologist, free mammograms done at Anderson Diagnostics, and follow-up treatment given. This camp was conducted in Ripalianum, SM Nagar, Kosapur, Gypsy Colony, and Karanodai. We thank the CRRT for their services.
The healing ministry today faces far different challenges from when it started about 30 years ago. The rural population of today is far better connected and has access to medical facilities both in nearby towns and in Chennai city itself. We have adapted to their changing requirements by starting specialty outpatient clinics in our village clinic in Ripalianum, and these are the dermatology clinic, the diabetic clinic and the dental clinic, and we find that these are better patronized. In our medical camps as well, which are held regularly in the villages in the areas that we serve, we partner with the evangelism ministry and the village project to ensure that the patients that we see in these camps are better followed up. We remain committed to our objective, which is firstly to ensure that the medical fraternity of the church has an opportunity to exercise their professional skills in the service of the church and of people in the villages, and secondly, to partner with the church in its objective of extending God's kingdom. Continue to pray for us as we continue to serve. Thank you.